What's up, comic and pop culture fans? This is James with Midhunter Comics, and today we're talking about why I like underrated books and why you should too. It comes down to three things: personal enjoyment, the fun of the chase, and believe it or not, financially. Now, I've got a stack here of what I would consider overrated modern keys, fully priced, ready to go, near mint, looking good. I also have a stack of underrated modern keys, which I'll also be going over as well. And I'm going to use both of these as an example to talk about the differences between overrated and underrated books. Now, the first thing is personal enjoyment, which I get is totally subjective, but I have to tell you, who do you think felt better? Comic book fans whose favorite character was Gamora, realizing that she was going to be in a movie? Or comic book fans whose favorite character was Batman, who seems to get a movie every 5 to 8 years? That's right, the person with the more underrated character, Gamora, probably was crapping their pants back in 2014 when they realized she was going to be in the big screen. Now, it is hard to talk because honestly, Green Lantern, Batman, and Spider-Man are my favorite superheroes, but I also love my Infinity Inc., my All-Star Squadrons, my Captain Carrots, and many more. And having those oddball characters makes it a lot more interesting. Bringing us to our second option, underrated keys are honestly harder to find, and that makes the thrill of the hunt better, a little bit more fun. We got the second appearance of Black Cat, first appearance of Tombstone, second appearance of Taskmaster, and the first kiss between MJ and Peter Parker. Those ones are not going to be as easily found as a modern juggernaut of this one, a heavily overprinted book, the first appearance of Anti-Venom, and the now myth-busted, quote-unquote, first appearance of Domino. It is actually her second appearance, not first. Now, there is a difference between underrated and scarce. So, for example, Sonic the Hedgehog is very scarce, but a lot of people collect it, which doesn't exactly make it underrated. It's maybe possibly even overrated. When I mean underrated, I'm talking about keys that just never get a mention anywhere. No one talks about them, yet they're just there for the taking, if you can find them, which isn't so easy. Personally, I think it's a lot more fun to track down books of this type than tracking down the stuff that every token collection has, stuff that you can get from any old comic book shop anywhere, in any state, in any country. But I really want to move on to the financial element, which is probably why a lot of you picked this video to watch. Now, there are two elements to the financials. One, it's riskier to invest and put your time into the overrated stuff. There's probably not much room for growth. It's a little bit more stagnant. I will explain. The second aspect of it is if you are to slab up those raws, there's less wiggle room for profit. I'll show you. Let's take this example of X-Force 11, long thought to be the first appearance of Domino. We now know it to be really the second appearance of Domino. The highest of the high raws sit at about $20. Now, when you look up the 9.8 value, it's about $70. So let's do some real quick math here, and we see that 70 divided by 20 is only 3.5. So if you buy a book for $20, 3.5 books raw in perfect condition go into the 9.8 value. Now, if you actually include the fact that it's like $10 to press, $20 to grade, another $10 to ship, you're probably $50 into the book. So your profit margin's $20, and that's if you're able to sell it as is with no fees. Let's use our next example here. We got the first appearance of Anti-Venom. Classic awesome story here, but a little on the overrated side. I'm selling it for $70. It is a near mint, but usually they do go for $80 for the high. Now the 9.8, the best you can get out of it is $140. Now check this out. $140 divided by 80 isn't even a full 2 times. So you're not even doubling your money if you get this book at $80. Throw in your extra $30 in, you're already well over $100 into this book. Once again, your profit margin's like $20, $30 if you're able to sell it for no fees. And then we're left with this modern key right here. Now I'm selling it for $35, but the raw highs of this book go for $40. This particular copy actually is perfect. It looks like a 9.8 candidate, but I don't feel particularly enticed to send it in because if I take the current value, which is $85 divided by 40, I'm really just doubling my money. And after all the costs to get it graded and shipped, my profit margin is going to be like 15 bucks. Not great, guys. These overrated books that you can find out there, they might have some value to it, but you're probably not going to be really making any money on them if that is your intention. Now let's switch gears and take a look at some what we would call underrated books. This is a stack of books that me and all my comic book friends talk about from time to time as how is that only worth that much? We're going to start off right off the bat with an ASM 143. This one is not a near mint copy, hence why I'm selling it for $10. Now, if you find a copy that could look like a perfect 9/8er, you're probably going to be spending about $35. Now, look at the difference between here. The market is not grossly oversaturated with 9/8s of this book. In fact, they're quite scarce. Now, let's check it out. $650 divided by 35. So it looks like 18 times. If I buy this book in perfect condition and I risk it and I get the 9.8, I will have made 18 times my money. Granted, that's not including any pressing, the actual submitting of the book and the shipping, but just goes to show you the crazy profit abilities of going for the underrated books. Well, that's just a one-off, so let's keep going, right? How about the second appearance of Taskmaster, a book I've never heard talked about on YouTube, I've never heard talked about at comic conventions on the floor. No one looks for this book. It's the second appearance of Taskmaster. If you have a perfect near mint, best you could probably put on it is a $15 price tag. Well, the 9/8s do $250, so check this out. How many times? Look, 16. This book, if you bought it at its peak price and you sent it in, got the 9.8, you can get 16 times your money on this. Let's keep it going, because that's only two examples, right? How about a really well-known but weirdly low price tag book? This is the first appearance of Tombstone. Side note, I will never understand the raw value of this book. I do not understand it. But with a near mint, like a perfect 9/8 candidate, the raws would be 25. 350 is the current year average for these things. So check it out, 350. I can already tell we're going to love this math right here. 14. So if I spent $25 for what looks like a perfect copy of this book, and I get the 9.8, I could potentially make 14 times my money on this book. Thank you, Underrated Keys. Let's do one last one. And this one actually is a good example because this one is a near mint possible 9.6, 9.8 contender right here. Okay, check it out. $20, 25 is probably the highest you could realistically charge for this. This is the second appearance of Black Cat. The 9/8s go for 400. So 400, I can actually do this math in my head, but still, it's 16. Do you see what I'm talking about? $20, $25 book, if it gets the 9.8, you can be sitting on a paycheck. Now, this is all the money-grubbing, greedy financial aspect of it. I like considering all avenues of it. I like the fact that they're funner to seek. I like the fact that they do have a better financial window there. I like that the fact that I just prefer reading stuff like this a million times more than the stuff that I can find at a drop of a hat. It's not always the case. Again, Spider-Man, Green Lantern, and Batman are my favorite, but it is what it is. Now let's talk about an anomaly. Let's talk about books like these. We got a Lethal Protector #1 and a Spawn #1. These books should be worthless. They should be worth absolutely nothing because there's a billion copies of these books. Not actually billions, but you know what I mean. Okay? There's a lot of these things. And yet, these books are still so popular that it defies logic. These are examples of overrated books that are airtight. Like, look at this. $125 out of 25. This one's going to be 5 times your money. How about 155 divided by 30? This one's going to be about 5 times your money. Now, the thing with these, there are books out there that are just so popular that, frankly, an economics lesson doesn't make sense. Normally with economics, supply, demand, if the supply is up, 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 the demand goes down, the market adjusts. But here, the demand is not only up, but the supply is up. There's tons of these out there, and yet people still want them. They will spend up for them to get a slabbed copy. So there are books like these on a larger scale. Obviously, you have Amazing Spider-Man 300, First Appearance of Venom. There's a lot of books like these out there that have a nice value. They're just so popular that they kind of overlook the rules of the overrated books, and they almost stick to the rules of the underrated books. And that can happen. So just learn the hobby, learn which books are truly popular just because they're just wildly popular books, or learn which books might just be a little bit of the hot stuff in the moment. And maybe that's why your window of financial gain is pretty small. And then my favorite thing to do, learn the weird stuff. Learn the underrated stuff, the second appearance, the first cover appearances. Read those books, dive into what makes them fun for you, and in turn, you will find that those underrated books have a little bit less risk and a better financial return. I'm really letting you guys into my brain today. This is how I think and operate. So hopefully this was a fun video for you. If you liked it, don't forget to like the video, subscribe. We have videos like this all the time. I'll see you all next week. Keep on hunting. Make sure to come down to Sentiment Depot Antiques and Collectibles, where I'm set up with all of my comics, located at 238 West Delaware Ave, Pennington, New Jersey. Open every day except for Monday and Tuesday. Enjoy 10% off from Wednesday to Friday. See you there.